So I cut the ends off where I wanted them, and now I have a little ring and a clip from the purse that I dismantled and took apart. So what I'm going to do is put the clip on one side and then the ring on the other. So in case you guys don't know how to do this, really simple, put it through and then make sure the fold is underneath. So this is the good side, so you want the fold to be on the bottom of that. So anyways, sew this up. And there we go, the pin is on. Now just do the exact same thing on the other side with this pin. Now if the purse or whatever item you happen to buy that had leather didn't have little clips, you could probably rip them off a book bag or any other item, or get them pretty cheap, or even go to the dollar store and find a little handbag and then cut them off. And there you go, the cape is done. Now it kind of puffs out a bit, but I think when I actually go through drum time, I'm going to just pin it down or safety pin it down or something like that. So far this is the costume that I've created, minus the pants, the boots, the spats, and my hidden blades. I'm wearing my costume, I guess. The cape turned out pretty well, brown on the outside, red on the inside. It seems to be a bit bunched up in the backs. I'll look at that later, but as for now, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So when you get your hoodie, you're going to want to try and make sure that there's nothing on the front of it or on the back of it. Now sadly I didn't notice the back here, and the front might be able to cut it out, or I'm just going to end up covering it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the sleeves. Now, the best way I find to take off the sleeves, is that there's those little threads in there. So if you're just to cut them all, the sleeve will just rip right off. Okay, so that took a bit longer than I thought it would, but now the sleeve is nice and clean off. So repeat on the other side. So I cut the sleeves off. I accidentally tore it, but I could sew that up in no time. So what you need to do now is get a bit of string. I got the string from the hood because you don't need strings in the hood. So I'm just going to use this, put it on the very back, and line it up all the way to the very tip. There we go. So it is this long. Now, using the sleeve, which I'm hoping all of you kept, because like I said earlier, keep all your materials. We'll put this here, and put that there. Little tiny mark. Make sure you don't use a marker or anything like this on that, because the marker will bleed right through, and this is going to be the top of your hood. So if it bleeds through, it's not going to look good. There we go. Now, can't really see the dots, and you're probably not going to see them at all in the camera. Anyways, get your tape measure, place it in the circle, and I'd say put 2 inches on either side of it. So I have the dot on the number 3, so I'm going to put a mark on number 1, number 5, and then I'm going to draw another dot 2 inches out. There we go. And what you need to do now is trace straight lines on all these dots. Okay, you can't really see the lines, but when you cut it, you want the cut to be 1 centimeter away from the line. And there you go, you should have something that looks like a tie. Okay, next, this may be ridiculous to some of you, but this sweater is way too big on me, so I need to cut it in half, and then I'm gonna put it on and see how small I need to make it. Because this sweater should not be baggy. There we go. So, if your hoodie was the right size for you or a tight fit, then don't bother doing this step, just completely ignore it and skip to this time. But if your hoodie was too big, put it on and then just kind of see how small you need it. See, this was pretty big on me, so I'm just getting a general idea of how small I'm going to make it. And I think what I'm going to do is cut right at the pockets and just kind of come up on a bit of an angle so I can keep the hood on. So I cut the hoodie down, and now it's a pretty good fit, so I'm pretty happy with it. Now the next step is to unthread the seam of the hood so the hood comes in half. Okay, so it took me like 2 hours to separate that hood because I had the green lining inside of it, but anyways, finally got it. So what you need to do is trace out a red portion of this white tie that you made. I already did that, so it's all set to go, and now you do the exact same thing with both sides of the hood. So for this I'm going to use a red Sharpie, so it doesn't really show too much. So trace out the entire hood. There you go. Now just do it with the other side of the hood, and then we'll sew them together. Okay, now with the front of the hood, you're going to fold it in like so, and then pin it. Okay, so you just put the final stitches in there, so now you have all this. But now it's, time to fix up some loose ends. Like, come on, look at all these ends here. They're just frayed out and everything. Gotta get a lighter and singe them. Don't hold the lighter there, just gently go over them. I suggest if you're under 16, don't do this. If you're bad with lighters and you're over 16, don't do this. Because depending on the material, this can be extremely hazardous. So what that does is gets rid of all the loose ends and prevents them from coming bad. Now if you don't feel comfortable using a lighter, get someone else to do it like I said, or you can get a pair of nail nippers, or nail cutters, whatever you want to call them. I've heard different names. Anyways, and just snip away all the fray edges. Missed a spot. Okay, so you're putting the final touches on your hood. Now, put your hood down so it's white up, and then get your tie shaped thing and put it red up. You're going to put it right at the very edge. Now the reason we're doing red and white up, this looks really bad right now. When you sew it, it's going to fold over, and that's going to be all on the inside. So, start at the top of the hood, because if you accidentally measured wrong, which I'm pretty sure I did, you might accidentally get something that comes down here, or something that ends up down here, and that would just look really bad. So, start on the top. Put the edge right at the corner of the material there, and stick your pin in. And there we go. So, get your machine again, and sew that all on. And as you can see, I was wrong on measuring, but that's fine. When I do sew it up in the end, I'll just put like a little piece of white fabric there, red, or just sew it together. Nobody will be the wiser. I just sewed this thing on, and I just noticed that there's a part that I forgot to do before I put this on, and that was to fold this edge in and sew it. Alright, so I finished the hood and I am pretty happy with this. The stitching on the top though is kind of a bit bad because my sewing machine decided to stop working on me, and it was like 1:30 in the morning. I was really tired and I just got frustrated and I was like, whatever, I'm done. So anyways, get your sweater, which is now pretty much a vest with a hood, and just kind of button it up because you're going to be placing 2 to 3 buttons in this. So you want an open chest and you want open flaps on the bottom. So I got my sweater, or vest, and I put the 2 ends together so I know where the buttons and holes would have to line up. Now the red dot on there is my original marking, and then the blue dots are where I'm going to put the buttons and the holes. So I'm thinking I'll put the buttons on this side because I'm right-handed, and the holes on the left side. Okay, so now the next step is to put in the buttons. So get your button and put it about 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge of the fabric on that dot that you drew earlier. So there's my dot, you can't really see it, and there we go. So go in through the bottom first, and then go to the hole diagonally across from it. Not this one, but that one. I just went from the top one to the bottom one, so now I'm going to go in the bottom and go to the one I haven't gone in yet. Just keep making X's over and over and over, and then knot it off and you're done. So for the buttons, what I did was I folded in the fabric a little bit just to give it some extra strength, and then I cut a hole roughly the size of the button, a little tiny bit bigger, not by much at all, like a millimeter again, and then I sewed off the 2 ends so it wouldn't rip any further, and then what I do is I sew the edges just so it doesn't fray anymore. Okay, so I finished the hole up, so I'll try and show you what I did. I put the needle through the hole, and then I sewed it around, like sewed it through the fabric and back through the hole, then through the fabric, so it kind of makes an extra thread that goes around to strengthen it up. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Then put some extra stitches on the edges so the hole doesn't rip anymore, and then get your button, make sure it fits. Okay, so after you're done the buttons, button the shirt up and then draw parallel lines, or sorry, not parallel, but identical lines on either side. So one coming up and then going out this way, and then the other one coming up and then going at the same distance. You can't really see it, but it continues on to the other side of the fabric. And then you're going to cut all of that out. Okay, so now I can see both the lines that I already drew. So I'm going to get a measuring tape, and since they're the same distance, this will help me find the middle. So it measures 21 inches, so that means that it's 10.5 inches to the middle. So starting here, 10.5, and here is the exact middle. And when you draw this line, draw it at the very end. Because now, if you see in this picture, the vest in the front kind of curls up, and then in the back it goes down to a single point. So that's what I'm trying to recreate. And there we go. So now this kind of comes down to a finer point.